Japan, too, was proving itself to be a world power. As part of its imperialistic movements, it had basically taken over Manchuria in China and was essentially controlling a large part of China. They wanted to be powerful, and they thought that expansion would accomplish this goal. So by the 1930s, the military has come to dominate Japanese life. Emperor Hirohito is the political figurehead, but actually most of the power was left in the hands of General Hideki Tojo. Japan had aggressively pursued expansion by taking over Manchuria for its resources, and by 1937 Japan controlled most of China. Any signs of rebellion were quickly subdued, and one of those was exemplified in the rape of Nanjing, which displayed what the Japanese were capable of. This was a situation where they basically attacked and destroyed the city of Nanjing as a display of power. In these situations, the League of Nations proved to be extremely weak. And you can see in the political cartoon to the right that the League of Nations is portrayed as kind of a wide-eyed, scared bunny threatened by the international powers of this giant snake. It does not really enforce any decree, and the members of the League of Nations were conflicted in their commitment. They, of course, had their own nation's interests in mind, and they seemed to be fairly wishy-washy when it came to making decisions as a group. Of course, the dictators realize this, and they're testing the League of Nations because they know the League of Nations is not really able to back up the regulations that it creates. And so the dictators gradually become more and more aggressive. Hitler is, of course, ignoring the Treaty of Versailles by beginning a massive rebuilding program of the military. And if you remember, the Treaty of Versailles required that Germany was disarmed. So this was a direct violation to rebuild the military. He used this idea of Lebensraum, which is in English is living space, as the basis for its future expansion. This is the argument that they need more living space, they need more room, they're expanding. And so one of the things they do is to reclaim the Saar territory from France. Also, they remilitarize or provide a military for the Rhineland area. Again, a direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. In Italy, Mussolini also sought to make Italy great again. He vowed to avenge his loss to Northern Africa, Ethiopia, and in 1935 he does this, but the League of Nations, although they disapprove of it, are helpless to do anything about it. In Spain, a civil war had broken out within the country, and Germany and Italy see this as an opportunity to come to the aid of a rising group of fascists that exist there in Spain, and are led by Francisco Franco. Germany and Italy find this a great place to test new weapons. Of course, the countries, the democratic allied countries, would like to avoid war again as much as possible. And so they adopt a policy of appeasement. And this is the idea that you try to make the enemy happy in hopes of maintaining peace. So this is how France and Great Britain react to the aggression of Italy and Germany. They're just trying to let them have their way a little bit in order to avoid another world war. And actually, it really only encourages the two countries to become more and more aggressive. Again, the political cartoon on the left shows, of course, Hitler and the Nazi Party walking all over the countries, the democratic countries, and those countries in the League of Nations. So, of course, they want to appease Germany to avoid another world war, but also the other factor that's playing in here is that some people are really worried about the USSR. Stalin is showing himself to be a powerful and frightening character, and many people see him as a bigger threat than the smaller countries of Germany and Italy. And what they're hoping is that, of course, both these countries hate communism, they hate socialism. They're hoping that these countries will subdue the USSR and reduce the threat of the Soviets. Also, many people in Europe are more concerned with the economic issues of the Depression than they are about going to war with Germany. They really just want to keep Germany quiet so they can try to get back on their feet again. Hitler takes advantage of the policy of appeasement because he knows that these countries want to avoid war. And so, knowing this and knowing that the League of Nations has little power, he goes ahead and combines Germany with Austria. This is known as Anschluss, and it happens in 1938. Then he goes on to acquire the area of Sudetenland, which is a portion of Czechoslovakia. And this part of Czechoslovakia is mostly occupied by German people. Unfortunately, it contains some very important resources for Czechoslovakia, and they're reluctant and upset that Germany is looking to take them away. So Great Britain and France confront Germany over Sudetenland. Of course, Czechoslovakia appeals to them and says, we've got to stop Germany. And so they hold a meeting called the Munich Conference, which brought the four powers together, and that's Great Britain, France, Italy, and Germany. Hitler was allowed to take Sudetenland as a result of this conference, as long as he promised that that would be the end of his expansion. He would take no more after Sudetenland. This agreement was known as the Munich Pact, and the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Neville Chamberlain, was very hopeful after meeting in Munich and proclaimed afterwards to the country of Britain that they finally had peace for our time. Little did he know that World War II was just around the corner.
It contains, but I would just like to read it to you. We, the German Führer and Chancellor, and the British Prime Minister have had a further meeting today and are agreed in recognizing that the question of Anglo-German relations is of the first importance for the two countries and for Europe. We regard the agreement signed last night and the Anglo-German naval agreement as symbolic of the desire of our two peoples never to go to war with one another again.
So that's it for this presentation. I look forward to seeing you in class.